Hi everyone, Chris from the Headache and Pain Management Centre here, and today we're talking about tendons and more specifically tendons that are in the hip and in the knee. Now these tendons can be pretty sore when you are a runner, you'd overdo it. Sometimes you actually get them just from not using them enough. So sometimes from sitting for too long, not being too fit, and then trying to exercise, getting that pain right at the front of your knee, right at the side of the hip, so that sitting, particularly for your knee, isn't all that great, like it feels really sore to sit for any length of time. And with your hip, it's really hard to actually lie on the hip and do anything for any period of time without it really being sore. So I'm talking sort of out the side of your leg. Good morning, nice to see you there. Type in below and say hello if you are with me. So I'm actually just in my office today. A bit of a change in scenery for your video today. So when we're talking about hips and knee tendons, basically there's a real, there's some information out there about tendons that isn't all that accurate, talking about things like, cortisone injections into the tendon, talking about what are called PRP injections, where they actually get your own blood and actually filter it out and inject your own blood into there. But the one thing that actually changes tendons better than anything else in terms of pain and function is actually loading them up. Okay, so the biggest thing is load. What I mean by that is basically doing exercise for your tendon that makes it stronger. Okay, so it makes the muscle attaching to the tendon stronger, and by extension makes the tendon stronger as well. So when you do this, what happens is that the movement goes through the tendon. The body gets used to actually using the tendon once again, and then of course there's more fibers that sort of grow in the muscle, and it reduces the amount of inflammation around the tendon, if there is inflammation there of course, but also builds the tendon around. Now this is also relevant for tendons that are, that might have on a scan something like degenerative, g'day Belinda, good to see you there, which is, degenerative tendons or, partially torn tendons. Basically what we know about them now is that we need to get in there and actually strengthen them up with a really good exercise program. Now, these exercises can be start very small, so they can be what are called isometric, where you're not doing any movement specifically, so you might have some resistance. So for example, you're sitting down and you've put your hands on the side of both your knees and you're just pushing out into your hands. That might be enough to start with for your hip tendons, or for your knee tendons, it might actually just be doing a tiny squat without doing a lot of movement with the knee. Anything that's pain-free. I've had one of these before and it's actually really quite uncomfortable, and it can be really debilitating when you're trying to walk, when you're trying to sit for any period of time, or if you're trying to do any activity at all. And depending of course on what it is that you want to do, whether it's anything from just doing a bit of gardening or doing walking around the house to running a marathon or ultra marathon like one of our patients that has been in recently with one of these, it can be really restrictive. And the key thing here is not to rest it. Okay, rest is the worst thing for it for anything longer than like a week to settle it down. You actually need to do some exercise with it, whether it be isometric or more even weight-based exercise to get things going. So when you do have a tendinopathy, as they call it now, so opathy meaning pathology in the tendon, and if you do have a bit of a cranky tendon, you need to actually get some exercise into it, get some load into it, get the muscle stronger up to the point where it's a little uncomfortable, but not causing a lot of pain afterwards. So blowing the tendon up and making it a lot worse afterwards. Good morning, good to see all the likes and loves there. It's good to see some love here on a Tuesday. So when you do have a tendinopathy, if you are diagnosed with one under ultrasound, a physio diagnoses you or the doctor diagnoses you, it's really important to actually get exercising pretty soon, straight away, because it's exercise within the limits of your pain tolerance that will get the best result for you, or at least has the best chance of working. There was a research paper that came out at the APA conference that I was at about a month ago that talks about the recovery of this being somewhere in the vicinity of 3 months. So you need to be prepared to work hard on this. It's not a quick fix, unfortunately, with tendons. Tendons don't have a very good blood supply because they're white as opposed to the red, thick muscles. They don't really have a good blood supply. So you actually need to do a lot with them over a longer period of time, sometimes just building it up slowly and getting more strength into them to get the best result. It is entirely possible to get back to doing the things that you want to do with it, whether it be just doing just around the house, just doing normal things, or if it's actually getting back to running as well. So there are no real restrictions right at the very beginning to say where you can get to. Basically, we just build it up as far as we can, and if there reaches a plateau, then so be it. But most people can actually get a really good result by getting a good bit of load and a good bit of strength into the tendons. If you do have hip or knee tendon issues, Nikki Rathbone is our physio here, who is the expert in all of that. She's a APA titled sports physiotherapist. She's done her master's degree in sport, treats the AFLW Brisbane Lions team, has done some work with Queensland cricket and other elite sport as well, but also a lot of other sort of amateur sports people. We've got one patient who came in who was very memorable to us, who had a knee and hip tendon, who got back to running a half marathon recently, and she's in her 50s. So that was a really good result. So if you do have some tendon pain, just type in tendon into the comments below. That'll let us know that you want us to touch base with you, and send some more information about whether or not your hip or knee tendon problem is something we can deal with. We can actually get Nikki to contact you as well if that is what you're after. So type in tendon if that's interesting to you. And of course, like, share, comment if there is anyone that you think might benefit from having a hip or knee tendon issue, not benefiting from that, but learning more about the hip or knee tendon issue from listening to this video. So getting some load into it, regardless of how small it is going to assist. And yes, that is the take-home message for today. Cortisone, injections, even surgery, not really warranted with tendons, actually just getting it strong and getting it more fit, elastic and healthy. I hope that's been helpful. Just a short one for today, and I will see you again later in the week for another Facebook Live video. Cheers and bye for now.